Gabriel, welcome to the podcast, Eric's
Eric, what's up,
Psychedelic
dude?
Breakfast. Thank you so much for
Nice.
being here, man. Yes, thank you. That's the right reaction. Nobody ever catches that, man. Thank you for catching it.
Yeah, sick, dude.
When I
Good to
made
be here.
it,
Thanks for
I
having me.
I felt a little bit like I shouldn't touch it. It's such a good name. It's perfect as it is. I have to be more creative.
Yeah, it's got a ring to it, dude.
Yeah, it really does, man. And honestly, so does Levitation Room, man. I mean, this is such a crazy place to start, but if we're gonna talk about names, how did you guys come up with the Levitation Room name?
Um, well, that's a pretty somewhat infamous story because when we were trying to start the band, we were already kind of like playing and doing things. Maybe I'll move around as I'm doing the podcast too, right?
Yeah, dude, that'd be awesome. We get a
Um,
little tour.
yeah. Hold on, Johnny, hold on to that. No, the envelope. So the band, when we were jamming and starting a band, we were already kind of jamming already, and I think we were already like ready to create like an identity for the band, you know? And we were jamming one day. We used to have like this studio in East LA, and the room had like a little like I don't know, like a little platform almost, you know, like a little stage. And we were jamming on it, and some of the guys were munching on some mushrooms, right? And then in the middle, not in the middle of the jam, but like after like
Casually.
I don't know, I remember like we went like a 5 minute or who knows how long, just kind of like just instrumental jam, just free flowing. And then we're like, that was it. We took a little break and we're talking outside, and my singer Julian was just like, man, like we were all feeling the jam, like we felt good about it. And then Julian was like, I feel like we were like levitating, you know, like we were up like
Mm,
floating, and we're like, hmm. And then he was like, how about levitation for a band name? And we loved it. It was like, damn, that's sick. Very, of the genre of music. And then like we looked it up on the internet, and there's like a shoegaze band called Levitation already, like a
of
90s
course.
shoegaze band.
Of course.
So we're just like, fuck, like it is a good name. What can we do with it? And then we're like, well, we're in this our jam space, our studio, our room, like all the time. Literally our drummer John and Julian were living in it.
Mhm.
And we're just like, what about Levitation Room? And we're like, yeah, that kind of feels good. And I think we were just gonna sit on the idea for a minute, and then it just became like, yeah, that's who we are, you know.
Wow.
But we went through the
Yeah.
ringer of like throwing other names out there. I think that's like one of the hardest parts about like being in a band. Also, like outside of obviously getting together and writing music, it's like creating the identity of like, what is this?
Hmm.
But sometimes like I don't know, I feel like some people don't make the band name the full identity or name of it, you know what I mean? That's, I feel like
Yeah.
some people the band name doesn't mean much. That's why it's like either a silly name or maybe you know a last name or something. But we were just like a little more like, I wouldn't say like thoughtful, but we sat on it for quite a while.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the story of how Levitation Room came about, dude, or at least
Such
the name.
Yeah, at least the name. I still want to get into I'm sorry, I really would love to get into how you guys actually ended up even because there's definitely a phase when a band is together where they're just friends jamming and then you guys start doing shows and I feel like
Yeah,
once you start
definitely.
doing shows, that's kind of what locks it in together.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because that's very true. Like, there's the
Okay.
first, for us, it was like phase, like, 1A, which was like, I remember years ago, I mean, it goes to show years ago because of a Facebook post that Julian was like, I'm looking to
Wow.
start playing some music, and, any friends out there. And I've known him since we were like teenagers. We were in a teenage band together. And I actually had just quit the band that I was in with my high school buddies. So this was like my early 20s. And I was looking to play music again. Or I took like a good break, few years maybe, just like buying gear. And I saw Julian's post, and I was like, I'm down. I'm looking to start music again. And he's like, tight. Who else besides like one of the best buds? So we started getting together, and like for like a year, it was just he and I with like acoustic guitars and just covering songs together, or trying to
Wow.
like throw chord progressions out as an idea, but never really like thinking like, oh, this idea is going to be a song once we get a drummer. It was just kind of like, let's just see what's happening. And then over time, it was like, okay, if we want to take this another level, we need to find a drummer,
Mm,
right? And then one day at a party, Julian was at a party and there's this dude playing the harmonica. And Julian played the harmonica very well. It's one of his first instruments that he really learned to play.
that's sick.
And so he approaches this guy and he's like, "Hey man, can I see that harmonica?" And Julian just wails on it, and that person is like, "Whoa, man, you get down." He's like, "Yeah, they introducing each other." And Julian was like, "Yeah, me and my buddy are trying to start a band and we're
Wow.
looking for everything. We're looking for a singer." And John was like, "Hey man, I could try out to sing." And he's like, "Tight, dude." And then he was like, "Actually, we kind of need a drummer first because it's just guitars right now." And then John was like, "I play the drums." But actually, he was lying about singing because he's never sang before. He just wanted to be in a
Oh,
band,
wow.
but he has played drums in the past, like in high school and stuff. So he was like, "Perfect, I play the drums too. I'm down to do anything."
Wow.
Julie could have said, "We're looking for a saxophonist." John would have probably been like,
He
"I'm down,
he would
dude."
have learned it. He would have
Yeah,
gone out
yeah.
and learned it.
So
And we would
like,
have been great at it too, I bet, dude. That's the thing.
oh, dude, Johnny's a natural, dude. But
Yeah. That's how things
but
happen.
it'd been years for sure that he's like, been dedicated to like drumming. I
Oh
remember
yeah.
like when Julian was like, "Oh, I might have found a guy, he's down this weekend," and we get together and like John shows up with his neighbor's little sister or brother's drum set. Like he borrowed a drum set and
Oh.
and he just shows up with this rinky dink drum set. And
Wow.
I wasn't trying to judge him by like, the brand or the tools.
Sure.
For me, it's like, it's not the arrow, it's the Indian, like, can
Mm.
he work his tools right? Because you have rhythm, you have skill, you can have a shitty drum set and still tell like this guy can
Yeah.
rock.
The age-old tale of like David and Goliath, it's like the man needs
Sure, right?
nothing, or the tool. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but kind of
So
opposite
like,
thing there. But
yeah. So
the
like,
tool was everything for David.
right.
But
But we
that
just
is beautiful.
jammed with some like little riff ideas that we had, and he just had a good groove and great personality, and just someone that's like he seemed dedicated and just like hungry like us. So
Hmm.
he became one of us like instantly. Like we're from the moment we're like, yeah, yeah, well, let's do it. We were together. So that was like phase 1A, and we were together all the freaking time, like every freaking day. And then
Yeah.
we found a studio, and then we started jamming more because John and Julian started living in it. I'm there every freaking day until like 3 a.m. just hanging, jamming. So like Julian and I were jamming on guitars, looking for musicians for like a year, and then we find that studio, and then we start searching for bass players for like another like almost a whole year again. And then we found a guy on Craigslist, and he was our first bass
Wow.
player, or official bass player, Jonathan Martin Tiemans. He's on the first album and all the EPs, and we were just jamming us for like almost another year. So there's about like 2.5 years of just like formulating the idea
Okay.
before we ever even played a show or anything like that.
Wow.
So
Okay.
like so then like once we started doing that, or like once we had like the four guys, we started kind of just recording some stuff like, okay, like we've been jamming for a while, guys. Like let's either like start doing like just whatever gigs our friends have for us, or
Sure.
let's just record some music and at least put some music out there and show our friends that we're like doing
Mm.
music.
Yeah.
And that's when we recorded, like little I mean, originally they were just demos like Firebird Lane, Friends, Visions of My Mind. All those songs were just like just demo it.
No
We'll
way.
re-record it. We'll re-record it better later, but we never did. It's like they just live the way they are now. Some of them we
Yeah.
re-recorded, but some of them are just like that was the time, that was the
Yeah.
moment, that was. They're not like the best fidelity, and I know some of
Yeah.
the guys in the bands like don't care about them anymore because they're not like as polished as their new material. But for me, it's a time capsule. It shows like who we were, where we were at. I can listen to those songs, and I can obviously I can talk about it for on and on and on. Like all the Pandora's box of memories comes together,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I
And
think
we
there's
recorded. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I think there's something about playing without that huge expectation on your shoulders that this is the take, this is the song or whatever, you
Right.
know?
Or anything like that. Or
Yeah,
we
right.
didn't get like all the shredders in town because it's like this is the band of the head, and then it never
Yes,
comes
this is
together. We're just like
Levitation Room.
we're just trying to find who that is. You know, we're just trying to make
Yeah,
sure it's all personalities that we get
yeah.
along with and
That's where the
feel
gold
comfortable with.
is. That's yeah, you
Yeah,
strike gold in there.
and we're still the same way whenever I mean when we have unfortunately we've gone through a few more bass players and you know and every time we looking for somebody it's kind of like yeah there's talent in somebody but sometimes it's like I don't know if he's a personality or the or whatever it might be, you know. And but when we met Kevin, our bass player now, been in the band like 4 or almost 3 years. Let's say three for sure. When
Mhm.
he came in the room, I mean, it felt a little weird. Like you know, he's around three guys he doesn't really know, and he's got to like impress people. But definitely, like just getting to know him instantly, he's a very personable guy, and it felt like okay, this guy definitely, you know, feels like someone I would be friends with. Period. You know.
Yeah.
So, and it worked out great, you know, and everyone you know, when we brought in Glenn, our keyboardist for, you know, the same like, relationship and vibe. And then for the last album that we just did, Stranger Weather, this was the first time we brought in a producer outside of the band. And it was the same thing, you know, once we met him, we were all like a little apprehensive about like, who's this guy? And when we met him and we did like a session, it was like, oh yeah, Jason's cool. He's like one of us, you know? Because
Yeah.
like if we're not like in that world, like if we're like, you know, I don't know, if it wasn't that feeling, I don't think the music would come out the way we would want, or maybe
Hmm.
it'll come out like, you know, when bands do something and it's like not working, you know, like the new material isn't like hitting, you know, and you would
Yeah.
hate to say like the old material is better than the new material, right? It should all be pretty consistent, right? You can prefer one or the other,
Yeah.
but like I think a good band working with the right people always you know show the I don't
Mm.
know the continuous collectiveness of the band, you know, without
Mm.
losing its like ethos or anything like that.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I have to since you
Sorry,
mentioned ethos.
sometimes I go on and I forget what my point was. You know, but it's all good.
That's how you strike gold, baby. That's good
Yeah,
stuff.
that's the podcast magic, huh?
Yeah, man. And before I forget, I just my friend Joaquin, he's a huge fan of you and of you
What's up,
guys.
Joaquin?
And when he was 16, he listened to Ethos and it just completely changed his mind about music. So he
Oh
asked me to
wow,
tell you that.
nice man.
Talking
Well,
about Ethos.
thanks for joining the party, Joaquin. Thanks for enjoying the music.
Facts, man. Yeah. And the artwork for all of that stuff is beautiful too, man. That's also another
Thanks.
way to identify the band with is such cool art.
Thanks.
But talking about these like strange paths that lead to really cool moments, like the essence of the goal seems to be um like like freedom, right? Like enjoyment, like some type of
Yeah.
feeling that it's right. Like you were saying, you can't have a good band without that like feeling of good friendships and good relationships. And so this I'm kind of framing this question because it's a little bit interesting because I'm a college student right now who is about to graduate. And I kind of wanted to ask you, like it to you, it to me, from what you're telling me, it kind of seems like there wasn't much of a leap of faith here. It was more of like something that you were just always having fun with and that it just kind of happened without even
I mean, yes and no, because
Mhm.
I mean, at the same time, we didn't want to be like stressful. Because you know, being born raised in Los Angeles and seeing people in different scenes, let's say,
Right.
there are people that are like, you know, it needs to happen in 6 months, or I'm going back home, or I'm going to change
Yeah,
pivot
right.
direction. And it's like, well,
Inherit their dead grandma's
like,
money or something.
yeah, it's like it's not the like '90s or the '80s where it's like record labels are handing out life-changing money, and then you can become an artist or something. It's like, nah, these days you just, yes, you want to go with the flow and be consistent at least. But like, in my mind, you're saying like, um, finding these freedoms. And for us, like working on music and our art and creativity and just what we want to do, we're building towards like finding our own freedom in life. Because like we didn't want to be like, it's like the corniness of like, I don't want to work a 9 to 5 and be a working, working just a bum job just because I need to, right? But like sometimes we have to. But I do believe that we all in our hearts felt creativity can find us that freedom in life, you know?
Hmm.
And for me, I was definitely gun ho. Like, I've always wanted to be a musician. I've always just thought that was the coolest thing you can do. I do still think that.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty cool.
so I'm like, the only way to get to travel and do these like, extravagant things I'm like thinking about, I think it's through music. I think that's the way I do it. And like when we first started the band and getting that first studio where we created the band name, jammed for days on end. When we first found it, I invested like all my savings to, because the guys respectfully didn't have money for a deposit or anything like that. But in my heart, I'm like, okay, if we don't get a studio and do something that's like a little more serious, right? We're never gonna take the next leap of faith, right? So I was just like, screw it, dude. You guys are the guys that I think are worth it. So here's my savings. Let's get this studio. Let's buy gear. Let's make it happen. And I was originally gonna go to Europe with that money. I was gonna do like, my early 20s
Oh
solo Euro trip,
wow.
and I gave it all up to
Wow.
just, do what I think I should have done. And then when I gave everyone the money for the deposit, I was like, you guys owe me a trip to Europe. And now
Wow.
and now we've gone toward Europe like 4 times now, and possibly or for sure more in the future. So it's like,
Damn.
putting your intentions in the right spot. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But again, never being like so like harsh on a timeline, like, we need to be playing this venue in 3 months, or you know what I mean? It's like it's
Mm.
nice when the things start happening, but it's like, musicians, there's a million, not million, but there's many ways to make it happen, right? Some people get lucky and they know a bunch of other bands and, shake a lot of hands and that works for them. And some people are just like that, that band that's just undeniably talented or, awesome, and you got to chip away at it. And then there's those bands that, yeah, do work hard. They're the road dogs. They've been on the road for like 5 years nonstop, and you can't even ignore them because they're everywhere all the time. So there's a bunch of ways and paths to it. So to be so like adamant about like that in 6 months if a label doesn't present us anything, I got to pivot. It's like you got to think outside of the box a little bit.
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
mean, and again, like John had just left college himself. Like he just said, screw it,
Oh.
I need to change. And then Julian also just, I forget what he was working, but like we were all like in you know, changing moments in our lives. Like either we're gonna continue just doing the things that were like about life, or like really
Yeah.
be enthusiastic about what we want to do and how we see ourselves really,
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that sounds so great. But like, I mean, there is definitely like a little like leap of faith that you have to get over that is like, like there's doubt. There's the well, what if the band doesn't come out and I'm like $1,000 down? Like it
Yeah.
seems like nothing in the world is
Well,
telling you that
like
that's the right
if
way.
$1,000 is gonna make or break you on your like aspirations, then maybe you
Ooh.
should reconsider them, or and be a little safer and be a little more conservative about
Oh,
your aspirations, or just go for it. And what's $1,000 to the whatever that can bring you in life? A livelihood, whatever it could be. Like I
yeah.
always think of this like Wu-Tang lyric. So I got with a sick ass click and went all out. So that's what I felt like. I felt like all the right components. And I was like, okay, this is worth going all out for.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. It definitely feels like this like more people are doing that. Like it's easier to do that somehow.
I mean, we can say it's easier, but now there's also it could be more worth it because, like I was saying, there's more outlets to like make your band become noticeable now. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
bands now, or like dudes before they're in bands, are investing all this money into gear, home studio stuff. You know what I mean? And they can release awesome sounding music from their house studios or living rooms, and have a good catalog on Spotify already before they even have to hit the
Right.
road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like that's a leap of faith too. You know, actually, after all this talk about investing and doing all this stuff, but we have yet to get into like doing like a full on like functioning studio, like, you know. But I think that'll be the next leap of faith. Is just, you know,
Mm. Yeah.
but but you know that there's so many ways to do it now that like I think like we don't know, sometimes you don't notice you're doing it and it's just like happening, and then you know you record all these home studio stuff that sounds great, and
Yeah.
eventually you have a following, and eventually maybe your buddies are down to join you in the band, and however, you know,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
And it wasn't like it's also like it's crazy. Like the fact that I have you here with me to me is mind blowing. And so thank you, man. You're that homie, man.
yeah,
And
man. I mean, we crossed paths at the right time, dude, at the Psych Fest,
oh,
dude.
dude, I have to say that set was unbelievable. What a cool venue, man.
That was a good spot. I had never been there. We played a few
Really?
times in Austin, but we've never done the Far Out, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Gizzard played there.
Oh wow,
Wait,
what
did
was
they? No,
that?
I think I'm getting confused. But dude, yeah, great stuff, man. And King Gizzard also played at that festival, which Nick Aguilar was also on this podcast. Great
Uh-huh.
guy.
Yeah, he's a
And
gnarly drummer.
yeah, and you guys are like connected. You guys are like on each other's bands, and that is so sick, man. How is that whole scene of having all of these friends with great bands and constantly hanging around like also really cool people that are like you?
You know, I mean, right timing, I guess. You know, it's fortunate to be like,
Yeah.
you know, when we were all first starting, we're really odd that we were all first starting around the same time, you know,
Mm,
and even now, all these years later, still doing it, and we're all like, you know, so happy to see each other growing and still doing it, you know, and actually
yeah.
like, uh, you know, Cranky, Levitation Room, and Triptides were like this like little like hub of like familiar or like sharing musicians, because like our keyboardist producer Glenn was in Frankie and his own band Triptides, and then he was in our band and he produced all three bands for a while,
Such
you
a good
know.
guy, such a good
So
musician.
oh, I mean he's one of the best out there, dude, hands down. I
Yeah.
mean we had to bring him out for Psych Fest because it's like,
I
dude,
loved seeing him in Psych Fest, bro. Good
and
call, good
also
call turning his volume up, bro. That shit was crazy.
yeah, but but yeah, we really rarely had been able to like bring him on the road with us on tour and stuff. So
Oh, we got
now that we're
lucky.
able, yeah, now that we're able to when we can, it's great that you know he's still part of the journey too, you know.
Yeah.
But it's great to have that like scene, you know. There's so many bands, and some of us, I mean, many of us are doing great for ourselves now, and it's great
Right.
to like be on the road and be like, no way, you guys are here, or finally you guys are here, you know, things
Right.
like that. You know, there's no
Yeah.
need, there's no competition, because when you know, it's like, what is
Yeah.
it? All boats rise when the tide, all boats rise when the tide rises. You know, like one
Oh,
of
I
us
like
does
that.
good, we
I
all
like
do
that.
good. You know what I mean? It's like, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, not to be like piggyback off of it, but like, yeah, well, you know, strike while the iron hot.
Yeah, or another one could be if you shit on one end of the pool, everybody has to get out.
There you go, dude.
Even even if you have a little corner of people in the end thinking
Yeah,
that
they're
they're
good.
safe.
No, everyone's got to go, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Ah,
it's a very fortunate thing, and especially like at the time and place in Los Angeles, like all these people were
that's right.
moving
Such a
or
good
from
scene.
there and doing, and you know, there was like little like fortunately like places, warehouses, record shops, little indie labels that were just all like, you know,
Mm,
so supportive, and things were happening before everything became, not everything, I can't say that, but a lot of things became buttoned up, you know? And yeah, and I realized, you know, that the thing that was once like a little like DIY scene has grown, and I'm not envious of that.
mm,
I love that, you know, and now there's
yeah.
like for sure in Los Angeles, new little DIY scenes that are probably different styles of music and, boundary pushing styles of music because it should be. Things are always
Mm,
changing, things are always coming back in vogue, but things are definitely always changing. So it's pretty interesting. Like so many things
yeah.
to do in LA as far as music goes. So it's like, what is the next thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's
Yeah, and who knows? It's hard to say. Hopefully it's Levitation Room, dude.
yeah. Yeah, man.
But the Frankie
Uh
dudes are rad. Love them.
yeah, fuck yeah.
Um, yeah, those are homies.
Have you had any like crazy I'm sorry, I just remembered a question that I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you about your record collection since you brought up record stores in LA. I don't know if you
Huh?
know any names that any cool record stores that you've like ran into while on tour or in LA or anything like that.
Lately, no record stores. For some reason, these tours have been like, so like get up, drive,
Mm,
be at the venue, do all
yeah.
this shit, and then you have free time, And usually, like
Okay.
right now, some shops are closing, and so it's like, just hang out. But like in LA, some of my favorite record stores is like Record Safari. That's definitely one of my favorites out there. Arroyo Records is pretty sick. Um, Permanent Records is rad, but it's kind of changed its format. It used to be like solely just a record store, but now it's like a bar
Oh, I love
venue
those. Cool.
and a record store inside, and
Oh,
then in the
wow.
back it has like a shed that's like a record. It's pretty rad actually. So those are like
Wow.
my favorites to go to. I usually try to do like but before I go to a record shop for sure a couple times a week. But now, once a month, pop in, see if there's anything catching my eye. I never really try to go in like expecting to find something, and maybe just like short list of some
Hmm.
ideas, some genres that I'm into or styles, and be like, there's something there, yeah. But those record stores always have something convincing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
And it's a little bit more difficult with Spotify when you have like an infinite access to all records. Do you have any
yeah.
favorite way to find new music nowadays, or do you still prefer the hopping into a record store and seeing what you find?
Um, I mean, I prefer the record store way, but it's like you
Fair.
don't get as much
Yeah,
exposure in
yeah,
such a short amount of time, right? I mean, that's the whole point
that's
beauty about
true.
part about the internet. But I do love, and some records I have bought have become like lifelong like favorite albums of mine. That was just like I was at a record store,
Mm,
I saw this thing, and I'm like, this thing looks
yeah,
fucking cool. Let me just buy it. And and
yeah.
sometimes it's like, I mean, a lot of the times it's like, maybe there's one song on here I like, but there's also albums that have been like, lifelong favorites so far.
That happened to me with this album, bro.
Oh, no way, man. You you got to
I
pick
was
that up when you see that,
I
dude.
saw
Look
it, the
at
Illuminati. I was like, oh, well, there goes my $40. So much for
that. Good
that.
choice, man.
Thank you.
Much,
Did I?
hey,
Yeah, I
man.
ended up loving it.
Yeah, of course, dude.
Beautiful.
And that probably opened Pandora's box to all these other bands.
Yeah,
So
100%.
that's great. But I do like, I mean, obviously we use streaming services to listen to music, but I feel like even when they give you the new playlists or Discover Weeklies, it's like, man, this is all like bands I already know. You're just like taking like the algorithm of what I know already and just feeding it to me again.
Hmm.
Um, but I did like for a while like mixed cloud stuff, like playlists and things like that. There's just some YouTube channels of like these fuck, I forgot what it's called, but they just have like DJs, spinning records like in a room.
Mm,
Ah, shoot, I feel really bad. I can't remember what it is, but they have awesome DJs just like for an hour or two spinning
cool.
records, and yeah, that's freaking awesome. How you can get the a well-known DJ or someone that's tasteful, getting their personal like set, and getting it a good like quality playlist of it live. It's pretty rad. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, that's how I like to find new music too.
Something I do want to bring up is that at your show, I don't know if you guys choose the playlist to play right before you got on, but right, literally as you got on, Trapdoor by King Gizzard was playing. I don't know if you realized that.
Oh, I think I did realize that, but no, we don't. I mean, we do like sometimes
Yeah,
we'll
different
tell the
times.
venue if you guys are playing music, we do have like a Spotify playlist with
Oh,
like
dang.
a tons of songs and just play it. But I think that's just like coincidence out there, you know. It's Psych Fest, the Levitation folks, for sure they're gonna be bumping some King Gizzard, you know.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I went to the Karambin concert, which Thundercat opened for them.
Oh, sick.
And dude, I'm pretty sure Karambin had the aux, dude, because when we were all waiting for them to come out, they played like my top five favorite songs. Now, I didn't know that at the time, but I just Shazam them, and they were like the greatest songs I ever heard in my entire life, dude.
Oh yeah,
Un
yeah, oh yeah.
unbelievable.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, there are some venues that we do that, like just make sure this is playing. You know,
Yeah, right,
even
right.
even as a joke, Kevin, our bass player, has told the venue like on tour. This is a funny like side story. On tour last year, our tour manager after a show put on this Bone Thugs and Harmony song called "The Weed Song,"
Oh,
right? And it's all about just smoking up weed and
oh shit.
it's a good song, but we were kind of like laughing at it, like, wow, it's pretty like in your face about smoking weed, which is what we are too. And so it became like a tour favorite, you know? So like on certain shows before we play, Kevin is like sneaking away to the sound guy and be like, 2 minutes before stage time, make sure Bone Thugs and Harmony's Weed Song is playing, you know? Which kind of
Right.
sometimes is a curveball because like they will be playing our playlist or familiar, you know, modern psych rock music, and then it cuts out to like, you know, Bone Thugs and Harmony. But
Mm, yeah, and then
we like it. It's fun.
uh like then by the time you get on stage, you just it's like a hot box. You just get secondhand high from that. You plan it
Yeah, there you
perfectly.
go. The Levitation Room is in session.
Hey. Do you guys have any other or do you have any other like little things that you do before a show or anything like some type of lucky charm or something that you carry along with you?
Not quite like a specific thing, but like this last or this past year or this current year, we did a West Coast tour in the beginning of the year, and I don't know, it just became this thing for me where like I have like you know a little container of picks and stuff, you know. But for
Mm.
some reason on tour, I was only using one pick. Like I just didn't lose it. I still have it right here.
Oh, no way.
And at the end of the
Wow.
tour, I was like, dude, I can't believe I still have. Hold on, I just dropped it. But I was like, I can't believe, I can't believe I still have this thing, you know. And then this time around,
Yeah.
leaving on tour, I like put it on like Instagram, like, will I lose this pick? Yes or no? You know, will it survive? People are like, yeah. And like, so now it's kind of that's kind of been like my my charm, I guess, is like having that pick with me, you know. And but last night in New Orleans, I lost it like before, like early in the night, I couldn't find it, and I was
Oh
like, damn,
no.
I guess it didn't make it, you know. And then we're loading up
Yeah.
our gear, and I told the guys like, you guys want to go inside for just one more beer before we go to bed, you know, before we head out, and everyone's like, yeah. And like I turn around and I look on the floor on the sidewalk
Dude.
outside, it's on the floor, and I'm like, oh my god, dude,
Wow.
this thing is meant to be, you know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
So, so I guess right now it's the my trusty sparkly silver pick.
Yeah. And it's interesting if you would have gone like upset about it and like you would have been like, nah, let's get out of here. Let's go home. I'm upset or whatever.
Right, yeah.
You would have never
Well,
found it.
yeah, I was just kind of like, c'est la vie, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then the universe was like, psych.
Yeah, but like, you know, when we're cleaning up the stage, I was like looking for it. Like maybe it's somewhere it just
Of
fell. Maybe
course.
that's why I
You
wasn't
have
tripping out
to.
because like every time I go on stage, there's a pic from last week's show still on the stage on the floor, you know? So in my mind, in my heart, I was like, maybe that thing once the floor clears up, there it is, you know? But no, it's actually on the sidewalk, so
Wow.
got lucky there.
Dude, now I'll know to look out for musicians' picks when I at
Yeah,
the end of
I mean,
shows.
I don't know. I mean, I've told other people this and people in bands. They're even like just telling them like, man, it survived one tour. I was like, yeah, that's all I use. People are like,
Hmm.
that's pretty good, dude. That's for I don't know what kind of like feat that is, but that is something.
Wow. Yeah, that actually is kind of crazy, dude. Wow. Dude, I'd be angry if I didn't ask you about a little bit of your songwriting process and just your mentality of playing guitar. Because I've actually just been picking up guitar recently, man. And
Uh-huh.
I'm trying out everything, dude, because I'm a piano player. Started off with drums. Did you start off with
Nice.
guitar?
Yeah, that was my first instrument, like as a
Mm,
teenager.
nice.
Just playing punk rock music and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's
But
sweet.
I don't know, it's a long process sometimes. Like we try to like make sure we're staying collaborative, right? Like or
Right.
understand or even like understand that like, okay, I might have a good chord progression that I like, and maybe even like a lead or like a little guitar part that's melodic.
Mm-hmm.
I always I'm willing to have the mindset like when I show the guys, John will give me a drum beat. Maybe I wasn't expecting that changes, the cadence of each chord rhythm or timing,
Right.
or
Yeah.
maybe Julian's idea of what he's hearing for singing. Like it's in the back. Yeah. Um, maybe his idea for a melody is changing the way those like the chords are working, right? So sometimes it's kind
Yeah.
of like just it's okay to just have some bare bones ideas. Well, I mean, if you're working collaborative with people, you should keep that in mind. But like, I understand like if you're writing like something on your own and you're trying to just put like, you know, just tighten it up and write a song on your own, right? I
Mm-hmm.
also say don't get in your own way. Like sometimes the first like few ideas are the ones you should probably stick with, but just work on them hard, right? Maybe just tweak them little by
Mm.
little, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I think that's a big part of artistry is that we do get in our own way. We do think a lot about like each step or what it should sound like, how we present it.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd be surprised, like, I feel like some bands even like just they don't put not that they don't put thought in it, but they go with just the first instinct, and that's just what people perceive and enjoy the most, right? Like back to that
Yeah.
idea of like people that say, "Oh, I like the band's earlier stuff," because maybe that's when they were like carefree. They weren't thinking out so much about
Mm-hmm.
marketing and packaging their band, where it's just like more, let's say, organic, and it's more well received that way. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know, just keep it free flowing. You know what I mean? Keep it open, right? If you're gonna
Yeah.
collaborate with other people, be collaborative with other people. Like listen to what they say, listen to ideas. We might learn something from this. I like when we come up with an idea, or like I do, or Julian has an idea on guitar, and at the end of the session, we have something like really happening here, and it's not even like what I originally had in mind. It's like, fuck yeah, that's fucking cool. That was kind of like the idea with like this. What happened with songs like Heaven on the last album. I just had a little bit of like chord progression ideas, and then Kevin was just like, try this, try that, try this. How about a little fuzz part right here, And I was like,
Mm.
by the end of it, I was like, this is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm like, that's the goal. Like, I'm gonna bring an idea and like, let's make it better than like the original idea.
Hmm. Yeah. And that can be tricky with today's trend of like having to release almost like an album per year or something. There's like that pressure of artists to do
Yeah,
that.
I mean, bands are even like putting that pressure on other artists too, because some bands are like putting multiple albums out in a year. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, who says why just do one? If you have like the
Mm.
capabilities and the material to do more, I mean, artists have more ability to put out music faster than ever, so they're taking advantage of it. You know what I mean? What was like a few years ago, King Giz put out like how many records in one year?
Yeah, like
But it's
a
like,
hundred.
yeah, there's no rules. There's no rules to it. I think the whole one a year is just like a safe spot to just be consistent.
Hmm. Yeah. And yeah, and
But it's
when you
hard. It's hard to like
it
put it all
is.
together like consistently and keeping it
Right.
fresh and not burning yourself out and finding the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. And even also finding the right names, like Mr. Polydactyl Cat is also
Yeah.
another crazy thing. How does that even happen? How do you guys collaborate to find these or like the reasons
That's mainly,
why. I also want to, I love that song, dude. Those two songs are probably my favorites that you guys
oh,
have
nice, man. Yeah,
because of the
we played those.
title
That's like the,
and the music.
you know, sometimes my whole thing is sometimes maybe take it could be the obvious part of the chorus, right? No one seems to ask the
Mm,
reasons why. Maybe you could make it the. Sometimes I'm like, well, most bands, the name of the chorus is the name of the song. Or if it's a long chorus, like a nice phrase,
okay.
a small part of that. Just take a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, Mr. Polydactyl Cat, that's the opening line. That's the first words Julian says in the song. So it's like, let's just go with that. That's what it's about.
Hmm.
But Julian does write the lyrics, so sometimes it's also
Okay.
he's got something in mind, or that's just what it is right there. I don't like to think too much
Hmm.
about it, right?
I see. It's great, man. It's really, really cool. The names and the music. It's really
Yeah, I
sick.
mean, we tried what we have right now. Well, I guess like the album titles, like the first two were just one word album, ethos,
Hmm.
headspace. We were trying to on this next album try to keep that like one word kind of thing, but it was hard, so we went with Strange Weather. That sounds cool, cool song on the album. Let's do that.
Yeah, weather is strange,
Yeah, but it's
kind
more
of.
beyond just the idea of weather. We're thinking it's more like the idea of like the world, the current events of everything happening. That's just
Mm.
that's what it is. It's not necessarily
Ah,
it's hot today, it's cold tomorrow. Wow, it's strange.
ah,
Like
I
no,
see.
it's like it's the world is strange right now. Like so many things are
Yeah,
happening. It seems so fucked. It seems so dismal sometimes.
that's
Um,
true.
that's part of it. It's part of life too. But there's always another day to try again, right?
That's true. And dude, if you look at the statistics, the world has always been like way worse. Like percentage wise, like the death rates are down, like everything is down, and it's like
Sure, right. Yeah, there's advances in our life, but there's also just as the things that we thought we would get past and problems and conflicts in this world are still happening again and again.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So
they are.
that's an interesting conundrum as well. Like as much as we're
Hmm.
learning and growing, we're still often making the same mistakes, or finding ourselves like revisiting um things we wouldn't be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a great title, dude. I agree. It's a weird climate we're in right now, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is.
Especially with also two little small things that I wanted to add. AI, that's also something that we're gonna have to, especially with music.
That's pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah, it's gonna like you don't even gonna need to play an instrument to be a musician anymore, or sing or anything. And so yeah, I kind of wanted your opinion on that. If you have anything to say
I
about that.
mean, I mean, the technology is there to make those processes easier if you want to go that route. But at the same time, like nothing
Right.
beats like the human touch in a recording, in a performance. I think that's what makes a lot of like the classic songs we all love and know about,
Right.
infinite and forever is because we're
Mm,
listening to someone's human moment and expression. You know what I mean? We're forever revisiting this beautiful moment that happened in a freaking
yeah.
studio. And in some
Yeah.
situations, like, you
Right.
know, can you believe they performed this like in studio live? Listen how amazing these albums are, right? Like, yeah, AI can crank them out. You just give it its, I don't even know how to do it. It's
Right. You have to give it
outline
something.
and yeah, and then it does it, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's convenient, right? That's fine, but it's like we're not. But is that, let's say if a band does do it and they put it out, it's like, but is that really you? Like, it's
Right.
weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I
And
want to
also,
see.
also like I want to see. I think it's more entertaining seeing bands playing
Yeah.
than just like, oh, one dude doing karaoke to his own music.
Yeah.
It's like let's
Yeah.
see the passion. Let's get everyone's
Yeah.
emotions. Let's see a little sweat.
Let's see some mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All let's see the human experience live and in
Right.
person. Let's appreciate those things still. Like
Yes.
you know,
Wow. Well put, man. That was beautiful.
right on, man.
Yeah, because
Thank
sometimes
you.
those mistakes, like what you're saying, like whenever you're collaborating with other people and they tell you like, I hear the melody more this way. Like some people might consider that a mistake, or some people will be like, what you're doing is a mistake. But it's like, yeah, and let's like that's a cool mistake. Like, how can that mistake turn into something that's
Right, where
sometimes,
can we take that? Yeah, there's good mistakes
yeah,
sometimes, right? There's good mistakes.
right. Yeah, mistakes are good. That's what AI doesn't have. Well, actually, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
they're working them out.
Right. Man, that's the cool thing about humans, bro. I don't know.
Yeah,
There's not that
resilient.
expectation.
I mean, there is and there isn't.
Right.
You can work around it, right? Like sometimes, like I don't know, expectation can kind of ruin a result or a moment.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
right.
But sometimes just being free of them makes those moments that could have been ruined or whatever that much better, right? Because like you weren't expecting that, right? You
Mm,
weren't. Yeah, it could have exceeded it. It could have been,
yep.
you know, don't let it ruin the moments.
Dude, that's why I like putting on headphones and grabbing my guitar, AirPods inside, and like not even looking at chords, not looking at music, and just like, playing, or even when playing music, like recording music,
Yeah.
excuse me. I'll just be like, okay, how does this sound? I mean, because I don't know guitar that well. I don't know my
Uh-huh.
skills. So it's kind of easy to do that, honestly.
Yeah, that's cool. I feel like I've met a few dudes that started playing music and in bands with like that mindset
Hmm.
and that like, level of experience. And it's like interesting, like, wow, freaking A,
Right?
you're seeing it in a different scope because it is sometimes hard or like, to not repeat yourself or fall into the same tricks and moves on the guitar, you know what I mean? So like when you
Oh
don't have
yeah.
much information of what you're doing, you're a little bit more free to it.
Hmm. Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that, man. Um, Dude, I also have to compliment the mustache. That's another thing I had on my list. It's such a cool
Thanks,
mustache.
man.
How do you keep it so fresh, bro?
It's just being a Fernandez, dude. It's
Oh, okay.
I grew up. My dad always had a mustache my entire freaking life, just like this. And
Yeah.
then a few years ago, I grew out a beard, just like a COVID beard.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. So I just shaved it down. I just left the mustache. And at first, I left it kind of as a joke, but here we are, 4 years later, still with the mustache.
Wow.
But thanks, man. Yeah,
Yeah. No, of course, man. Dude, you basically answered all my questions, man. And I know you guys have a set tonight.
yeah.
And you got your pick, and that's awesome, bro. So you guys are right now in
We're
New
in
Orleans.
Pensacola.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
We're in Pensacola, Florida, right now. Yeah, the
Cool.
doors are opening as we speak right now.
Oh, no way, dude. Yo, so
Yeah.
maybe we can close it with this last question that I usually like to start with. But what did you have for breakfast, my guy, today?
Today, I'm not really a breakfast guy, but
Oh,
today we were leaving New Orleans, and like all 3 days we went to this cafe right
oh, I
around the
saw that
corner
on your. I
from
think I
where we
saw
were
that
staying.
on the Levitation Rooms Instagram.
Yeah, and we went to I got a avocado and tomato, like an avocado toast bagel with tomato. Because I
Nice.
saw all 3 days, I saw my drummer John getting it. He was right here.
Hey, what's up, bro?
He was getting it every day, and I was just getting coffee. And on today, I was just like, "Fuck it, dude. Last day in New Orleans, let me get this bagel."
YOLO. Nice.
So I had that bagel, and of course, a nice coffee with that. Wash it down with
Wow.
a big old can of caffeine.
Hell yeah, dude. Well,
Yeah.
Gabe, thank you so much for doing this, bro. It really means the world.
course, man.
Good luck
Pleasure.
with the show. And where can people find you if anybody wants to reach out or anything? Or
Just find us on Levitation Room at Levitation_room for Instagram, and then we're on Twitter and TikTok. We're not too active on it, but
oh,
if
cool.
you happen to contact us, we'll respond.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'll check it out. And that would be in the
Yeah.
description, man. Good luck with the show. I know you guys are gonna do great.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And thank you, brother.
All right, man.
See you soon.
Anytime, dude. If you want the whole crew, just let me know.
Oh, dude, I would love to, bro. Thank you. I'll definitely
Yeah.
get back to you on that.
On the next one, we'll have a 4-man interview.
Oh, wow. Yeah, like Nardward. Cool. I'll start getting
Yeah.
ready. All
All right, man.
right, brother. Hare Krishna. I'll see you later.
Ciao.